Welcome to Ground Control, and today's item for review is this Eachine Mini Mustang P-51D. It has a brushed power system, but from the moment I saw this I wanted to do a review of it, and Banggood was kind enough to send me this plane for review. So this is courtesy of Banggood. I received the one that comes with 2 batteries. You could also select the one that comes with 3 batteries. It comes fully assembled. All I had to do was put the landing gear on it, and there's 2 retention screws for the landing gear. And other than that, it was completely assembled. The prop was already on it, everything. You get a pretty good manual to go with it. You get the transmitter, which we'll talk about in just a minute. You get a spare prop. You get one of those little USB chargers. You get a screwdriver, you get 3 screws, you get a spare screw, 2 of them are for the landing gear, and let me see it, I think that's it. Another thing that's unique about this plane is that it has a quick disconnect system on the prop. So if the prop hits something or the prop is pushing against something, you can't get off the throttle fast enough, this prop should disengage from the hub to protect the motor, the gearbox, and the prop. So I haven't seen that before, so I think that's going to end up being a good idea. Now I did bind mine up. I ran it up to full throttle, and I had a little bit of a vibration, but so I put a little bit of tape on the light prop, and now it's pretty darn smooth when you do full throttle. So you'll want to check that out, and it's not just this prop. You should do that with any prop on any motor, brushed or brushless. Okay, so now let's talk about the batteries. The batteries are 1S 360 milliamp hour, and I've got some specs here for you. My 2 Lipos, one weighed 9.9 grams, the other one weighed 10 grams. And the dimensions of the Lipo, in case you've got other batteries you want to know if they will fit in this battery bay. The batteries that came with it, they're 37 millimeters long, 20 millimeters wide, and 8 millimeters thick. The plane weighs 44.8 grams without the battery in it, so approximately 55 grams all up weight for flying, and that is amazing. 55 grams, that is so light, even with the landing gear on it and everything. Gyro, it has a 3-position switch for your gyro on the transmitter, and this is a mode 2, so my throttle and rudder on the left hand stick and my aileron and elevator on the right hand stick. You want to power on the plane first, then turn on the transmitter to bind up. You want to make sure that your plane is level, when the gyros spin up. You have all of your trim buttons except for the throttle, where you would normally have your trim buttons. Those buttons activate a return to home system on the gyro. So what it does, from what I've read, and I'll have to test it while I'm out there, but whatever direction you launch this plane in, if you hit the 1 key activation, it's basically going to do a 180-degree turn and come back the opposite direction from which it was launched. So it's not really going to come back to you. I mean, it doesn't have GPS on it. But if you're flying and you're getting too far away and you've lost orientation, you can't tell if it's coming toward you or going away from you, that would be a handy feature to have have the plane go into stabilization mode, do a 180-degree turn, and come back. After you see it doing its turn, when it completes its turn, you know that you're going to be looking at the nose of the aircraft. Okay, so I think that's a pretty cool feature. The 3-position switch for the gyro all the way forward is in beginner mode, so that's a 6-axis gyro system. So it's going to be pretty restrictive on how steeply you can climb, how steeply you can dive, and how steep of a turn that you can go in. And the center position is your intermediate, which should be a 3-axis gyro. That should allow stabilization and self-leveling, but it shouldn't restrict your angle, so you should be able to do rolls and stuff with it. And then all the way forward or back toward the back of the transmitter is expert mode, and that should be full manual mode, so you can do anything with it. In order to calibrate the gyros, when you power on your plane, you power up your transmitter, you don't arm the power system, and then if you hold your sticks down and out from the transmitter and wait for it to beep, that'll tell you that the gyros are calibrated. So if you ever need to recalibrate the gyros, that's how you do it. After you've bound, in order to unlock the motor, you're going to go all the way up on the throttle, all the way down, you'll hear a beep, and then you should have full throttle. The gyro is also capable of doing acrobatics with the one key push on the transmitter. So on the top left hand side, you see this little button. So while you're flying, and make sure you have some decent altitude when you do this, when you're flying, you can press that button, you'll hear a beep, and then what direction you move the stick in next is going to determine what it's going to do. So if I push the aileron stick to the right, it should roll right. If I push it to the left, it should roll left. If I pull it down, it should do a loop. So we'll test that out too. But anyway, that is the specs on this plane, specs on the transmitter, how everything works on the transmitter according to the manual, all the parts that you get with it. So let's go out and fly it. All right, maiden flight of the Eachine P-51D Mini Mustang. I've got it in 6G mode right now. As you can see, it's trying to right the plane. All right, so let's try it in 6G mode to begin with. Bring it down to earth a little bit. Okay, so full left stick on aileron. That wasn't too bad of a turn. That's a full right. Yeah, that turned sharper than I thought it would. Okay, let's bring it back around and see how much climb we have in 6G mode, full throttle. Oh heck, that isn't bad at all. That was a pretty good climb rate for being in 6G mode. Okay, so let's come back around and put it in 3G mode and see what we have. Okay, there we are in 3G mode. See if it will roll. No. And I calibrated the gyro before I put it in the air. Oh, you can do a loop in 3G mode. But it doesn't appear to want to let me do a roll with it. No, it will not let me do a roll in 3G mode, but I can do a loop with it. You do have less angle restriction. Check it out. That's awesome. Whee! You have to keep the speed up on this. I just got a tip stall there. Okay, so now let's test the one key. Okay, there's a loop. Bring it back down to earth. That is a fun little plane.
Okay. And let's see if it'll do a roll. Coming back through. Let me speed it up a little bit. Put it back up at altitude. And there goes the roll. It did it by itself. Bring it back down. Alright, let's try manual mode. Ooh. Controls are a bit abrupt in manual mode. It'll take a little time to get used to. There's a roll in manual mode. Whoa, that was slow. I think that I'm going to adjust those controls. Ah, there's another loop. This is one of the few, maybe only the second, brushed power system plane that I've used where it seems it has very adequate amount of power to it. Nice. And we're still in full manual mode here. Whee! That is an awesome flying little mini Mustang. Nice loop there. Okay, so let's put it back in 3G mode. You guys are going to see a lot of flights with this little guy. Yeah, for a brushed power system, it's pretty fast and it has adequate power. I'm going to go a couple more circuits here and bring it in because I think I'm getting low on power. I don't know how long I've been flying it now. We'll see if we can bring it in 3G mode. That is awesome little plane, man. I love that. That is too cool. The controls are a lot more abrupt on this little toy transmitter than they are on my hobby grade transmitter. I think what I will do is adjust the connectors on the control horns, probably move them to the very top to make them less abrupt. But that is a fun little plane. Big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Please give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you in the air.